In 2020, after returning from my army service, I felt a mix of relief and excitement. I reunited with my old friend Jacob in Colorado, where we shared stories and laughter. Seeking a thrill, Jacob suggested we explore an isolated spot he had visited with his girlfriend, a forgotten cabin deep in the woods, far from civilization. The cabin, decaying and barely standing, seemed like the perfect setting for an adventure, filled with mystery and intrigue. During our exploration, Jacob brought up the legend of the Wendigo, a creature from local folklore so terrifying it made my skin crawl. He claimed that if you ventured into the woods and chanted Wendigo 3 times, you'd summon something horrific. Skeptical but intrigued, I dared him to show me. We plunged into the forest. The ground was soggy from recent snow, and after trudging for about 20 minutes, Jacob dared me to say the name. With a sense of dread, I reluctantly intoned, "Wendigo, Wendigo, Wendigo." At first, nothing happened, and I exhaled in relief. We started laughing off the fear when a sudden noise pierced the silence. I snapped around, my senses honed from military training, and saw a few coyotes darting across the path. The relief was fleeting. Something felt deeply wrong. We decided to leave immediately. Then a menacing groan erupted from a towering tree as it began to topple, its branches snapping like thunder in the still night. Without thinking, I shoved Jacob out of the way just as the massive trunk crashed down between us, the ground shaking beneath our feet. Jacob's scream of terror cut through the night as I leaped over the fallen tree, grabbing him by the shirt and yanking him upright with all my strength. His heart pounded frantically as I screamed, "Move, Jacob, move now! We have to get out of here!" He stumbled and fell to his knees, and I dragged him up, pushing him to run as fast as he could. We sprinted down the trail, but a horrifying sound pierced the night. Jacob's younger sister, Jana, calling his name, her voice echoing through the trees. Jacob's eyes widened in panic as he tried to turn back, but I grabbed him and shouted, "Jacob, it's not her, it's not her, keep moving!" Just then, another tree began to buckle, its roots tearing from the ground with a deafening roar. I saw it coming and tackled Jacob to the ground, narrowly avoiding being crushed by the massive trunk. I screamed at him again, "Go! Get out of here! Now! We don't have much time!" As he fled toward the trail's opening, his breath came in ragged gasps, the fear palpable in the air. I pulled out my gun and aimed it down the path, my hands trembling but my resolve unshaken, ready to face whatever was hunting us. Jacob made it to safety, turning to see me still aiming my gun, his eyes wide with terror and concern. I sprinted towards him, and together we saw it, the Wendigo, a creature of nightmares. It emerged from the darkness, a grotesque figure towering at least 9 feet tall, its presence overwhelming. Its body was a ghastly skeleton of skin and bone, as pale as death itself, each movement a reminder of its unnatural existence. Its eyes glowed an eerie, unnatural blue, piercing through the night like lightsabers, casting an unholy light on the forest floor. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, to abandon the fight and run for my life. But I raised my gun and fired at the creature, the sound echoing through the trees. Jacob didn't wait to see the result, his survival instincts kicking in. He ran to the car, his footsteps pounding against the forest floor, and I followed, glancing back just once to catch a glimpse of the horror pursuing us, its eyes still glowing in the darkness. That night marked my first, and I pray last, encounter with the Wendigo. The terror of that experience haunts me still, and every night I fear I might face something as nightmarish as that creature again.